So I'm currently in pre-production for a short film that I'm shooting in Europe next month, and I thought it'd be great to share what my process looks like to be able to enable us as filmmakers to get the best results during production. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down what my pre-production process looks like. So the film we're going to be going over is called Mind of Thoughts, and it's written by Charlotte Vermink, and she is based in Belgium. Since we haven't shot it, I can't really spill any details on the film itself, plot, characters, but just know that it is going to be a phenomenal project, and I am very excited to be heading over to Europe next month to be able to start working on the production side of things. The film itself takes place in 3 different countries, so this is my first time actually doing an international narrative project. So considering production, cast, crew is all based in Europe, and I'm in the United States, having in-person meetings isn't really that accessible, but we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. The first and most important part about pre-production is the script, and I'm sure how many times have you heard cinematographers, directors, everyone just say the most important thing is the script. You can have the best ideas in the world, but if the script is not good, you are not going to have a good film. With this particular film, the first time reading it and understanding the concept and the tonality behind it and what the mission was for this project, there were a lot of things that actually resonated with my life and things that I went through and have been going through personally. So I immediately knew that I would have some personal and human connection to the story that I'll be able to interject within it in the cinematography. So reading the script, something that I'm still figuring out how to do properly. You know, there's people that have been in filmmaking for 40 plus years that have been reading hundreds of thousands of scripts. I know that a lot of TPs that I've heard have different processes when reading the script. And I have yet to really find my process because I'm still trying to figure out what that process is for me. But for this particular film and things that I've been, trying to do in other scripts is 1, read the script the first time as a story. Because at the end of the day, you're not necessarily reading a film, you're reading a story. And if you could read it in that sense like you're reading a novel, for me, that helped me just get a better understanding of what is the story that we're trying to tell. And granted, it's hard for me not to think about lighting, not think about camera movement, camera placement, but I tried to challenge myself, at least the first go around, to try to read the script as a story, to understand the character's place, conflict, and resolution. By the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th time I read the script, that's when I start really kind of diving into what does the cinematography look like, what does this film visually look like to me. And a lot of times I'll just start taking notes on the script. I will jot down little ideas, lighting ideas, camera ideas, composition, camera movement ideas, and all of these technically are up in the air. I still haven't had a meeting with her about what the project entails in her ideas and what she envisions for the cinematography. I think it's important going into the first meeting with your director after reading the script is to have a bit of an idea of what you envision for the film. What is your interpretation? And that to me just feels like you're prepared, you're coming in with some ideas, and you're engaging and you're curious about the film. The first meeting I had with Charlotte was a meeting to really get to know each other. And obviously we talked about the story, we talked about the script, a little bit about the cinematography. What I was saying was how the script related to my personal life and what I resonated with it, and asking her really important questions like, why did you make the script? How important is this to you? Like, what does this mean to you to make this? Things along those. I just want to be able to dig deeper. And as a DP, I think it's important to dig as deep as you possibly can with the director to get to the point where you get a deep understanding of the director. And if they wrote the script as well, their true intentions for making this film. And some of the ways to be able to dig deeper into especially the cinematography of the film is to ask her, what are her inspirations? What are your references? And Charlotte is actually a very organized director, producer, writer, and she has a whole Milanote board of every department, everything you could think of. It's actually one of the most organized pre-production pages and outlines that I've ever seen. After the first meeting, being able to understand her references, the next step for me personally is to start designing a lookbook or a mood board. Creativity for me comes when I get a sense of inspiration, and lately that is due to Musicbed. I'm sure you've heard me talk about them before, so here's why you should switch over. What I love about Musicbed, in all honesty, is that the songs come from real, authentic, hardworking musicians and artists. The musicianship in these songs is it really is top-tier music, so you know that the songs that you're selecting, the artist behind it took so much time, energy, and passion to actually create that music. even with the tone of music I choose for my videos. And considering it's the largest collection of curated music for film, I'll never have to resort to using the same songs ever again. They also just implemented a new AI feature, which means that you can find songs even quicker now. I'm more inspired as a creative using Musicbed, and I want that for you. For a limited time, Musicbed is offering a 14-day trial so you can see the difference for yourself. So switch to Musicbed today with the link in my description. Some of the tools that I use for creating mood boards include the following. For a lot of movie stills, I use ShotDeck. For a lot of commercials, music videos, I will use FrameSet. And a platform that I also use a lot to provide a more creative expression that doesn't necessarily have to be from film, commercial, music video is Pinterest. And Pinterest provides me a more creative, artistic approach to my expression and what I want to be able to interpret and what do I want to be able to express. Maybe it's color, maybe it's lighting, things that don't necessarily need to be in the movie world. Pinterest for me is a really great resource to find really cool photography, really great aesthetic images that I could also match with my movie references that I choose. So all three of those tools are how I find my reference material to then be put into a PDF document. So to be able to create that PDF document, I use Google Slides. It's free, it's easy to use, and it's pretty straightforward. Within these mood boards, I also like to not only include photos of what I envision visually, I like to write down some ideas and things that I also envision but can't really be interpreted via image. I like to write things down to also help people interpret that page and overall tone for that scene. So once I feel good about the mood board, once I feel good about all the references and, everything is there that I feel is best able to convey my approach and what I want to be able to deliver cinematography wise, I will then share it with the director to get his or her opinion on what this final mood board looks like, if there are anything that, she doesn't agree on or things that she agrees on. And, it's a collaborative experience. And again, the mood board that I create is what I create. It's not the final mood board until you kind of get that final approval from the director and you both are on the same page. So once you guys are both on the same page and you both agree on all aspects of the mood board, I tend to share this with my crew, and if the cast wants it, whoever wants it, this is kind of like my little Bible, my sort of like handbook to be able to best represent how we want to approach this entire filming process. Next, depending on your director's style and workflow in pre-production, he or she may or may not like shot listing, but for this project, Charlotte and I decided to shot list this entire film. So to be able to execute a shot list properly and effectively, we essentially just read the script together, but scene by scene, and talked about what do these shots look like, and just talked about every single scene in the entire script. And I have a template that I use in Google Sheets, a shot listing that we just inputted each individual scene, each individual shot, and by the end of it, we had a whole document of what our wish list shot list would look like. And I say wish list shot list because this is the first draft of the shot list. This is us thinking about the shots in the most creative way possible without any real notion of like time, equipment, budget, and of course those things are important and things to think about. But I also come from a place of why in the first pass of a shot list or reading the script when you're talking, limit yourself creatively because of arbitrary time, numbers, budget, when you don't really know those things yet. So for me, I think it's important to just be free when you're first creating the shot list. Create as if there are no limitations, just so you both can have a real true understanding of how you would envision this project if it were in a perfect world. And what does that look like to you? And then from there, once you hand the shot list over to the first AD, producers, you start looking at numbers, equipment, crew, time. That's when you could start tapering things down. The other great thing about shot lists, and some people agree, some people don't agree, is I like to use shot lists as sort of a foundation for the production. And this doesn't mean that we are going to live by every single shot no matter what, and we are never going to find shots on the day. That's for me, that's not the case. And a lot of the shots that we get on the shot list, we are going to get because that's what we need to get. But I think that having a shot list, having a great foundation, allows for that spontaneity to arrive when you're on production. So one of the biggest questions I receive is, how do I make my lighting diagrams? In reality, it changes every project. Sometimes my gaffer will make lighting diagrams, sometimes I will make lighting diagrams, or sometimes I'll make lighting diagrams and then my gaffer will make more in-depth lighting diagrams. A lot of the times, the lighting plan and lighting diagrams come after the tech scout, location scout. But this was a unique scenario where obviously I wasn't able to make the location scout. because of my injury. But what we did was problem solve and try to find the best solution possible to be able to keep us going in a upward trajectory. I asked them if they can take measurements of the room. I asked them if they could do 3D scans of the room. And I also asked if they could pinpoint, outlets, the height of the windows, and things that normally you would pay attention to when you're at the scout. The thing that really helped us after that scout was getting those 360 scans back. That was a vital thing for us to be able to continue moving forward again in that upward trajectory and be able to still maintain a good pace to be able to put us on a good track for production coming up. Those 360 scans, those 3D scans allowed me to do a virtual walkthrough of every room that we're going to be shooting in. So I'm not just looking at still images. I could rotate, I could zoom in, I could zoom out, I can walk amongst the space. I think 360 cameras on scouts, if possible, are such a great tool to be able to put you back into that location, to be able to truly feel how you might light and compose that space for a particular scene. Granted, it's not the same as in person, obviously, but it is the next best thing, in my opinion, to put you in the best possible place to be able to start coming up with your lighting plans, start coming up with how you were going to actually block this scene. The camera placement and blocking of the actors came from discussions with the director in order for me to be able to map out where they're going to be in the room, so then I can start dialing in my lighting plan. So for this project in particular, I still haven't had in-depth discussions yet with the gaffer and the key grip in terms of equipment and budget. That's like kind of the next step for us in terms of the process. So the lighting plans that I've created are a rough outline of what I envision the look being. And I feel as though a DP, I have, seeing the room, walking through it, and understanding light, I can kind of imagine what it's going to look like in my head. So being able to visually put that on a document can allow me to share with the director, gaffer, key grip what my intentions are. So now when we talk about budget, when we talk about equipment and crew and the limitations that we have, we can understand what the intentions are and then dial it in from there. So I want to share with you some of the tools that I use to be able to actually create these lighting diagrams. For this project, I had a fully fledged out mapped floor plan, and this was a really great resource to have because it gave me the exact dimensions of the room, and not all the time you're going to have this. So my recommendation is, if you're on a location scout, take 360 scans of the room, take photos of the room, get an understanding of what the layout is of the room, and either use Photoshop, use Canva, use Concepts is another app that I use, and essentially just draw out the room. Use shapes to draw what that make of the room is. And from there, you can start dialing in where things are going to be placed. And for me, the best way to do it is, instead of, using shapes or colors, I actually use a very important tool called Film Set Objects. And Film Set Objects is a company that created these Photoshop and assets that are exactly like any film object that you would use on set. So they have HMIs, they have aperture lights, they have tubes, they have different cameras, they have flags, rags, they have diffusion, anything that you would want, they have it in a scalable asset that you could use in Concepts, you could use in Photoshop, you could essentially use anywhere, and that gives you an even more accurate representation of what you want to use for your plans. So the next steps for us in this pre-production process are going to be meetings with heads of departments, with producers, to talk about budget, talk about rentals, talk about just the logistics side of things. We talked a lot about creative coming up to this point now, where we need to start figuring out the practicality of a lot of these things, figuring out the numbers and making sure that we all align on that front. So this is where I'm going to stop today's video, and hopefully you gained some valuable knowledge from what I've shared with you today, and where we are up into today in our process of currently in pre-production for this short film that we're going to be shooting next month. And this is my process. This is something that I'm building. This is something I'm working on and continually evolving as I get better and more experienced as a DP. So I'm curious to know, for some of you out there, feel free to leave a note in the comment of what does your process of pre-production look like. I would love to know some of your insights as well. So I want to give a quick thank you again to Charlotte for bringing me onto this project. I am very excited to start moving on to the next steps, and very excited to actually start shooting this film. This to me is a huge step in my career. I've never shot a film in a different country, so this is a huge step for me, and it's like one of those moments in your career that is like, I don't know if this is going to change things, but for me, this is something that I dreamed of doing. And the fact that I'm actually able to do it and I'm going to be doing it next month is like a dream come true. So I'm truly just so excited for this opportunity to be able to shoot this film next month. So that's it for today. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you next time. Peace out.